Y'all, y'all, something is wrong with this godless woman. Something is wrong. What else? What else does being black bread get you? Oh, y'all ain't gonna like this one. Lean in. This one gonna hurt, but black breeding. Black breeding gets you child assassination in the womb. Oh, and lots of it. Yes. The Democrats, they gotta push sexual promiscuity and irresponsible, deviant behavior because they need you to be a willing participant in their child assassination industry. Yes. Oh, they do. This is why you can have Joyless Reid of MSNBC openly advocate for sexually explicit books being placed in the educational system because she's a tool. She's a pawn, a form of black breeding torture that's just shoved down your throat. Except she just comes through the airwaves of the stupid tube with that Trump looking wig on her head and all that clown makeup on. And her job is to convince you that everything is racist. We need abortion. We need child assassination in the womb. We shouldn't be having more children in the confines of marriage. No. And sexually explicit information in elementary school, it is good. And it is right for your children, especially the queer ones. Because, it helps them to relate, to sexual assault. Look at the wickedness that you've hitched your wagon to, all in the name of blackness. Take a look at this.
The United States has a population of north of 327 million people. Why do we need more kids? I mean, your party, Senator Tuberville, is the one screaming that 10 million immigrants, which I don't even know that number even makes any sense because it doesn't, have streamed into the country since Joe Biden has been president, and you're claiming that that's too many people, that if more people come into the southern border, this is some sort of crisis because we've got too many people and we've got no more space and we can't afford more people. But now you're saying we need more kids? Can you explain who's the we and what's the purpose? You're also a senator from the state of Alabama. God help the people there. Are you saying the state of Alabama needs more kids? Why does the state of Alabama need more kids? More kids for what? There was a time when the state of Alabama absolutely needed more kids because, Alabama was a slave state. And the mandate of the planter class in Alabama was for black women to produce more kids because those kids were property. And they could work more kids and make more money on their plantations. Are you saying the state of Alabama needs more kids because you think that those populations will include people who are maybe destitute and desperate enough if you kick out the immigrants like a lot of y'all want to do and you could make them do the work that the migrants are doing now? Because that kind of sounds slavery-ish. Is the state of Alabama the we? And is that the why? I mean, you're also a white guy. Are you saying the we is white folks need more kids? Is this like a great replacement thing where you're concerned that there's not enough white people in the population versus the growth of the Latino population, the black population, the Asian American population? And so the we is white people need to make white women have more kids, and that's the we and that's the why? Because it's a little creepy.
Y'all, something is wrong with this godless woman. Something is wrong. The hatred and vitriol in her heart that she is just allowed to spew out. Refusing, I seen somebody say, refusing to make proper category distinctions, just sounding all kinds of stupid. But instead, she turns the idea of being fruitful and multiplying for the purposes of procreation and human flourishing. This woman turns it into a race deranged conversation about slavery. I told you, this is what black breeding looks like. This woman is a product of being black bred. This is what you get when you internalize the social and cultural construct of Blackness, when you're just bathed in it and baptized and just fully intoxicated off the juice of this Blackness, this woman doesn't even have the emotional intelligence or the moral compass to realize how insanely wicked and crazy she sounds. In her world, two things cannot be true at the same time. Because to her, the idea of closing the border to illegal immigration, because a sovereign nation can't just let any and everybody in the country all at one time without knowing who they are, why they're coming, to her, that's tantamount to slavery and white supremacy. The idea that Americans cannot sustain itself because we won't be able to sustain ourselves as a thriving and viable nation if enough of us are not being born. That gets completely lost on her because in her godless, childless, joyless, husbandless, mindless, assassinating child in the womb, just that's good and right to her, especially if you are Black. When you are Black bred, you are taught that child assassination in the womb is necessary. And to deny you of that right, it is just unjust. It is unjust. Negroes, my people, the ones I told y'all about, they understood that children are a heritage from the Lord and the fruit of the womb is a reward. Negroes believed that. Negroes were fruitful and multiplied and never allowed the government to convince them that their progeny was something to be despised. I told y'all, I'm a Negro. I nowhere share anything in common with these godless Black-bred Black folks. Those are not my people. Listen, I ain't done. Listen to what else this melanated Black-bred Marxist defends.
By his adult family member. So you have incest. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you.
do. What I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's by his adult family member. So you have incest. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the inner child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No,
wait,
we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Aren't Blue?
What a question.
You're
you got
asking me right now.
You just gave me
17,000
very
questions
specific
to ask.
information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You just remembered very specific things.
Joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about
Here's my question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer your
Great.
question.
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you, and you're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation.
It's very simple. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
What I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert, in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
This book is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience.
I cannot believe
Why
this
is it
being
your right
sold
or a
on
Moms
TV?
for Liberty activist's right to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author,
MSNBC. This is embarrassing.
why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance,
God.
or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So, again, we're talking about...
And each parent...
No.
Each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask you one more time.
Right.
What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof
rape.
of that is
Oh
what?
my
You just
God.
said that
What's
if a
your
child
proof of
feels
that?
seen by this story. What I'm saying, Joy,
You're now making assumptions
no,
about it.
Joy, but if a child has been raped,
Look
lot
at
better
Joy.
than
She
put a
can't be.
Y'all tell me this woman has not been bathed in melanated Marxism, evil, wickedness, and perversion. You tell me that this woman doesn't represent an entire segment of blackness that promotes moral squalor, barbaric and deviant sexual behavior. You tell me that she and her boule counterparts, such as Whoopi Goldberg and Roland Martin and Kamala Harris and Cori Bush and Stacey Abrams and others, you tell me that they don't promote and encourage behavior that leads to high crimes, abysmal educational achievement, and the breeding of unmarriageable women and men. Y'all, this godless filth propagated by the barons of blackness, they promote governmental sponsorship of single motherhood or no motherhood at all. All of this, including the lack or desire of marital obligations, has resulted in our urban inner cities being wrought with promiscuity, rampant homosexuality, and professional petulance that gets celebrated on national TV and, worst of all, praised, promoted, and celebrated in our churches like Fonnie Willis was.